when there's something strange in the neighborhood. Who you gonna call? Ghostbusters 2! Good evening, everybody. I'm still doing more movie reviews just like this. And if that iconic song wasn't a giveaway already, I'm gonna be showing my thoughts on Ghostbusters 2. And yes, this is a sequel to the first Ghostbusters movie. And I assume you guys want to know what this one is all about. Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, and Harold Ramis regroup to nuke the spooks in this highly spirited Ghostbusters 2. Sidelined for 5 years since their spectacular save and destruction of New York City, the superstars of the supernatural spring back into action when the infant son of single mother Dana Barron, played by Sigourney Weaver, becomes the target of a powerful demonic force. Reunited with no-nonsense Wendy Zeddemore, played by Ernie Hudson, nerdy, nearsighted Lewis, played by Rick Moranis, and the ever-industrious secretary Janine, played by Amy Potts, the heroes of the Hairfeather must put a stop to the enormous underground river of slime ready to rot the roots of the entire Big Apple. Now, if your hometown was on the verge of being sucked down to the 10th level of hell, who you gonna call? Ghostbusters! Now, I'm not gonna lie, it has been a very long time since I watched this movie on VHS. And I think it was an okay sequel. I mean, yeah, sure. Maybe you guys could make an argument about how it's not a perfect sequel, but just hear me out. It is cool to see the original cast and crew come back to reprise the roles as the characters from the movie. The plot is pretty interesting to follow. And I gotta admit, for 1989 standards, these special effects are spectacular. I gotta admit, aside from I still think the soundtrack is pretty decent. Well, to be fair, we did get a chance to hear a little bit of the original Ray Parker Jr.'s Ghostbusters theme, plus a brand new variation of the movie for the movie. It is cool seeing the Ghostbusters take on a new challenge. Because instead of taking on Ghosts of the Gazarias, the Ghostbusters now have to handle a strange new villain who's possesses a painting. Yeah, it's an evil magician-type warlock from the 1500s who wants to take control of Dana Barry's young child, Oscar, as a new form, mainly possessing his body. Now, in a nutshell, that does seem a little bit scary. Don't you just hate it when a ghost tries to possess your child's baby? Again, the movie does explain that it takes place 5 years after the original movie. I'm guessing after they defeated Gozer, the Gazarian, and the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. I guess every county in this tri-state area seems to have sued the pants off of the Ghostbusters due to property damages. And instead, they sort of went downhill and went out of business. Ray and Winston are now like party entertainers. Ray, Egon became like some kind of emotions studies scientist. And Peter Venkman started his own talk show about the psychic. So I'm guessing they sort of had decent jobs. But I guess they kind of missed the glory days of busting ghosts. I guess life isn't easy. Boy, I guess they now have Jabberjaw and Scrappy Doofield when they don't get too much respect these days. Oh boy. And who knew that a mysterious slime underneath the city sewers and the Ghostbusters try to save the day will help boost their popularity back up. It is pretty cool to see the Ghostbusters get back on track again. Now there are some funny moments here and there. Like the boys studying the weird slime, and they test it out on a toaster, and make it start dancing around to the music. That's actually quite funny. I guess this mysterious slime that the boys found somehow feeds off emotions. Pretty freaky when you think about it. Of course, when they first discovered it, they sort of got arrested and got sent to court. And they probably didn't even know about the slime feeding off emotion until the judge starts scolding them. And I guess they just found out the hard way. And out come two ghosts, the Scaleri brothers. I guess the judge tried them for murder and gave them the chair off screen or something. And I guess it took place after the events of the first Ghostbusters movie. I mean, that's just my wild guess. When speaking of ghosts, the ghost effects are quite intriguing. I mean, they mostly use green screen and puppet effects for the ghosts. Mainly Slimer, who does make a comeback again in the movie, but just for a few seconds. But hey, that's close enough in my book. It is cool that Lewis came back to play the nerdy accountant. And he was even the Ghostbusters attorney / lawyer for a few months during the courtroom scene. Yeah, I will admit, it is a little bit odd that Janine and Lewis are starting to have a bit of a thing for each other. Because I just assumed that Janine was like Egon's type or something. So that was sort of a weird thing to change up, the love romance. But you know what? I didn't want to make a big fuss about it. Because I get it. I'm guessing things had changed over the past 5 years. And I'm guessing both Egon and Janine sort of broke up off screen after the events of the first Ghostbusters movie. I mean, it might not make sense, but hey, I'm just trying to take a wild guess here, okay? I'm just trying to take a wild guess. I really like the cute little baby Oscar. And I guess according to the credits, he was played by two different babies who are brothers or cousins. I don't know. And you know, I think even though Ghostbusters 2 might not be a perfect film, I think it stands alone. I think it's still an okay movie, and I guess it could be considered a guilty pleasure in my opinion. And as usual, it is still cool to see all the original cast members come back to reprise their roles as, well, their iconic characters. It was cool that we got a chance to see a montage of the Ghostbusters getting back on track and getting more respect than ever. Yeah, I will admit, there are times when the mayor's new assistant, who was kind of a bit of a, jackass. He's sort of a jerk to the Ghostbusters. And I thought Walter Peck was a jerk to the Ghostbusters. He even goes so far as to have the Ghostbusters committed at a psych ward because he thought the Ghostbusters were crazy. And he made up a lie about them about how it was the mayor's idea. And when the mayor found out about this, he sort of fired his assistant and still demanded the Ghostbusters to take down this evil ancient magician guy who's possessed of painting. This is like one of those cases that's so intense that not even Goober and the Ghost Chasers or Scooby-Doo can solve. Cause I guess they wouldn't even last like 5 minutes solving this case. You can tell that Dana was very concerned about Oscar throughout most of the movie. And yes, it was revealed that she got married to a different guy off screen. And I guess her relationship with Peter probably didn't go so well or something after the events of the first movie. True love isn't always that cracked up to be, if you know what I mean. It is kind of funny that during the beginning of the movie when Ray and Winston were performing at this kid's birthday party, they were all expecting He-Man to show up as the party entertainer. That was actually kind of funny. And I'm guessing He-Man was still popular at the time. Well, considering he did have a live-action movie 2 years earlier in 1987. Now, I'm not a He-Man expert or something, but it was kind of funny hearing He-Man be referenced in this movie. And it probably would have been funny if one of the ghosts was impersonating Skeletor, who was a villain on He-Man. I mean, I'm sure there probably would have been some rights issues with Ghostbusters and He-Man. But just imagine if we had a ghostly version of Skeletor making a cameo in Ghostbusters 2 at some point. I know there's a slim chance of that ever happening, but hey, sometimes you never know. So again, even though Ghostbusters 2 is probably not a perfect movie, even though I still defend it as a fun movie, I still have a lot of fun for what it is. And yeah, I guess it's still not a perfect movie in my opinion, so I guess I'll give this movie probably 4.5 stars out of 5. That probably seems reasonable enough to me. And yes, this will be dedicated to the late Harold Ramis, who's known as Egon Spengler from the Ghostbusters franchise. Sorry about the blurriness. And I guess I kind of missed my chance of meeting Harold Ramis at this point, since he already died like 12 years ago. But this video will be dedicated to Harold Ramis and Ivan Reitman too. So thanks again for checking out this review of Ghostbusters 2. And tomorrow, I'm going to be looking at an old Robin Williams movie called Good Will Hunting. Stay tuned for that.